Hello, listeners. I am Vidyadhar Tiwak. Pragma-Sophic conceptualizes knowledge and action snippets for benevolent co-creation. Systems theory is a engine to actualize them. Welcome and stay tuned. Ponder over the slide for a minute. What if the most important knowledge in a civilization occupies less than 1% of its total volume? We now address the question 1 first. The 1% contains the deepest concepts, the ideas that survive centuries, the questions that never become obsolete. The remaining 90% or 99% contains procedural and contextual knowledge, useful in its own time, often irrelevant later. When a civilization encounters its own past, three groups emerge. The first group rejects the entire inheritance. They see obsolete procedures, they see outdated context, they conclude that everything is useless. In rejecting the 99%, they also discard the timeless 1%. The second group moves in the opposite direction. They attempt to revive everything: ancient procedures, ancient institutions, ancient contexts. They try to transplant the past into the present, often without recognizing that circumstances have changed. The third group takes a wiser path. They distinguish the timeless from the temporary. They preserve the enduring concepts. They retain the living questions. They expand the valuable insights. At the same time, they modify what requires adaptation, and they discard what no longer serves the purpose. The first group destroys the seed, the second group preserves the husk, and the third group cultivates the living tree. Wisdom begins with this distinction. Not everything old is valuable. Not everything old is obsolete. The challenge of every civilization is to identify the timeless 1% and preserve it, renew it, and allow to guide the future. When we think of the Vedas, we imagine a vast ocean of ancient knowledge. When we think of modern civilization, we imagine billions of books, papers, databases, and websites. But here is surprising possibility. What if only a tiny fraction of that knowledge survives for thousands of years? And what if that tiny fraction shapes everything else? Today, we shall explore a remarkable idea: the idea that the most enduring knowledge is often the smallest in volume but the greatest in influence. We now turn to question 2. What knowledge do the four Vedas reveal? The Rig Veda explores existence, nature, and cosmic order. The Yajurveda focuses on action, duties, and ritual procedures. The Samaveda explores harmony, music, and sacred experience. And the Atharva Veda addresses health, governance, prosperity, and everyday life. Together, they answer four enduring questions: what is, what should be done, How should reality be experienced? How should one live? These questions remain relevant even today. Turn now to question 3. Why is the Nasadiya Sukta so special? Because it asks rather than declares. It asks how existence emerged. It asks whether anyone truly knows the origin of creation. It even questions whether the Creator knows. The spirit of inquiry is extraordinary. We now move to question 4. Are there other suktas in the like Nasadiya Sukta which talk about philosophy? The answer is yes. The Purusha Sukta asks how diversity emerges from unity. The Hiranyagarbha Sukta asks about the primordial source. The Devi Sukta reflects on cosmic consciousness. The Vak Sukta explores language and its knowledge. The hymns of Dirghatamas examine the truth and plurality. The Agamarshan Sukta reflects on order and time. The Vishwakarma Sukta contemplates the architect of the cosmos. The Kama verses explore desire as the force behind becoming. The Skamba hymn seeks the ultimate support of existence. Together, these hymns form the philosophical nucleus of the Vedic tradition. We now move to question 5. What percent of the Vedas do these philosophical hymns represent? The answer is less than 1%. The Rig Veda contains more than 1,000 hymns. Only a handful belong to this deeply speculative category. Across all four Vedas, the percentage becomes even smaller. Yet, these few hymns account for a large part of philosophical reputation of Vedic civilization. This raises an important question, the question 6. Can a very small amount of knowledge have a very large influence? History suggests that it can. A few hymns influenced Indian philosophy. A few dialogues influenced Western philosophy. A few mathematical propositions influenced science. A few physical laws influenced modern technology. Influence is not proportional to volume. We now look at the context of modern knowledge in question 7. What happens when we examine modern knowledge? Today, humanity produces knowledge at an unprecedented rate. Scientific papers, engineering reports, databases, government records, software documentation, news articles, the volume is enormous. And now is the question number 8. What percent of modern knowledge belongs to philosophy? Probably less than 1%. Yet, philosophy remains foundational. Science assumes logic. Science assumes causality. Science assumes observation is meaningful. Science assumes truth matters. The foundations remain philosophical even when the visible structure is scientific. The pattern resembles what we observed in the Vedas. We now classify the knowledge. We classify it in three different types. All forms of knowledge are equally durable? Not at all. Knowledge appears in three forms: conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, and contextual knowledge. Have a relook at the diagram. What is conceptual knowledge? Conceptual knowledge consists of ideas, principles, and explanatory frameworks. Examples include dharma, karma, geometry, evolution, systems theory. These concepts can survive for centuries or for millennia. The question 11 addresses what is procedural knowledge? Procedural knowledge concerns about methods and practices, engineering methods, medical procedures, manufacturing processes, research techniques. Procedural knowledge often survives for decades or centuries before evolving. What then is contextual knowledge? Contextual knowledge concerns specific situations. Today's news, puja path, current regulations, product specifications, market prices, administrative records. This knowledge changes rapidly. It serves only immediate needs or norms. Which type occupies the largest volume? Contextual knowledge occupies most of the volume. Procedural knowledge occupies less, and conceptual knowledge occupies the smallest volume. Yet, the reverse is true for longevity. Conceptual knowledge lasts longest. Procedural knowledge lasts a little less. Contextual knowledge lasts the least. This is the central insight of our pivot figure. We now turn to question 14. What survives from ancient Bharatiya civilization? Not ancient tax records, not most administrative details, not most karmic procedures. What survives are concepts: dharma, karma, atman, yoga, and satya. Ruta, that is cosmic order, harmony, and regulatory underlying existence. What survives from ancient Greek civilization is the next question. Again, not administrative details, not most military procedures, not most commercial records. What survives are concepts: logic, geometry, democracy, metaphysics, causality. The same pattern appears in both civilizations. We now ask, is it wise to reject less than 1% knowledge merely because it is a small fraction? The answer is no. Wisdom evaluates knowledge by significance rather than size. The Nasadiya Sukta occupies only a few lines. Euclid's axioms occupy only a few pages. Newton's laws occupy a few paragraphs. Maxwell's equations occupy only a few lines. This volume is tiny. Their influence is immense. That brings us to the next question. How should a wisdomic agent evaluate knowledge? By asking five questions. Is it true? Is it useful? Is it coherent? What follows from it? What are its limits? These questions matter more than quantity. Lastly, we now ask, what is the larger lesson of this entire discussion? Civilizations generate vast amounts of knowledge. Most serves immediate needs, some serve recurring needs. A very small amount seeks to understand reality itself. That tiny conceptual core often survives for centuries or millennia. The philosophical suktas of Veda, the dialogues of Plato, the geometry of Euclid, the laws of Newton, the equations of Maxwell, they all belong to what might be called the 1% that endures. And this leads us to Pragma-Sophic proposition, the longevity abstraction principle. The expected longevity of a knowledge snippet increases with its level of abstraction and decreases with the dependence on particular context. The challenge before every civilization is therefore simple, not merely to produce knowledge, but to recognize, preserve, and apply the enduring conceptual core hidden within vast ocean of the transient information. We now bring this episode to a close. If its exploration intrigued you, the complete essay on my website offers a deeper and more connected understanding. Pragma-Sophy is Prajna Yajna. Please subscribe to my channel and visit my website if you are interested in more explorations into actionable knowledge and systems thinking. Thank you and stay tuned.